The Garden Report is powered by Prize Picks, the exclusive daily fantasy partner of the CLNS Media Network.
Hey, Bowie Manning here. Welcome to a late night edition of the Garden Report. We thought there might be some champagne popping, there might be some balloons somewhere in the building because there were a lot of Celtics fans here tonight, but the opposite of a celebration. They were flying out of this building. I won't call it mourning, but it was pretty bad, the effort here tonight. And
so many Celtics fans.
They go down by 33, third quarter. I mean, Kevin O'Connor here from The Ringer, Josue Pavone, CLNS Media. If I told you, Kevin, that Shvima Hayaluk, Luke Cornett, those guys were spilling into the game, you probably would have thought it was the other way, right?
Yeah,
that they were coming in for the end of the fourth.
I would think it was like Game 6,
Right,
2008,
right.
where
All
it's
of a
like
sudden
there's
it's a
a
party.
Gatorade parade,
Yeah.
like celebration on Doc Rivers back in 08.
Yeah.
I thought Missoula would have Gatorade poured on him by Tatum or whatever.
I didn't even think about that, KLC. They should redo that.
I know.
Well, they got to win a game first.
Well, you
They
got to
gotta
win
a
one
game
more.
first.
And I mean, ultimately, though, like I think the fact that it was the way it was, where at one point the Mavericks had the biggest lead in finals history.
Really?
And nobody could have saw
No.
this coming in the way that it did. Like the Mavericks were just absolutely dominant in every single facet of the game. Like they dominated the boards. They don't have over 50 rebounds.
No.
I can't believe how
20
different
plus.
this game felt. Even stuff like Lively taking a corner three. I mean, I felt like the Mavericks pulled out different cards. They changed up their rotation. They were playing at a different level. And I mean, even though it's just one game, I mean, it's it feels like it's not over.
I mean, he had a 5-0 run for screaming out loud, and the crowd, the rah-rah moments, all that stuff. I thought was a huge momentum builder for the for the Warriors, for the Mavericks.
Oh,
And I
you
feel
getting nightmares over there?
No, you know what it is? I'm thinking about when we're talking about the winning streak, and if they were able to pull this one off, the way the Mavericks ended things. I mean, the way the Warriors did back in a few years ago, whatever. So I guess I still have that in my head. But no, I just think everyone doing a little bit of their part, I thought made a humongous difference for the Mavericks. And with the Celtics, I just think their offense just wasn't clicking, the passing and everything that we saw. But let me ask you this, KLC. Is this a matter of, not to just boil it down to this, but was it a matter of the Celtics were just ready to celebrate and the Mavericks were ready to fight?
Well, I mean, I think Jason Kidd, after the game, he did say, the Celtics were, ready to celebrate, and we were desperate. And
Right.
we have to play like a desperate team again on Monday.
Exactly.
I think that was an element of it because after Game 3, you got Jaylen Brown talking about, when Danny Ainge asked me about Jason and when we were drafted years ago
Hey,
together.
I asked that question.
I mean, but you know what he should have said to you, Bobby? We got to win one more game.
Come on, I got a good answer.
You got a great
Good call,
answer.
KLC, because you know what? I bet you he was showing those clips after the plays, after they're dissecting the game throughout that thorough film session that they had, that, they didn't have to go out here and practice. They just went back to the basics. I bet you they put up a couple of those clips up from Jalen
put up my
and
question,
Tatum
reminiscing.
and these guys are already talking about their entire NBA careers as if the series was completely over.
You
Yeah,
blew it,
good
Bobby.
point.
Good
Good
way to
point.
go.
I was writing my Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum championship story.
Well, Tatum
before it
didn't fall
started.
for it though. Remember, you asked the same question to Tatum. Tatum was just like, "Hey, the job's not done." But Jalen, yeah,
Exactly.
he was reminiscent.
But to me, like the little things like that, so often we've seen this Boston team over the years. I know they say we're different now, and they are different now because they would have lost Game 3 if they weren't different now. They would have let go of the rope in the first quarter. They would have blown the lead in the fourth quarter in Game 3 if they weren't different now. They are grown up. They're a better team now.
Yeah.
That's obvious. That's why they're up 3-1 in the finals and why they're probably going to win the whole damn thing. Obviously, but at the same time, they have had those games throughout the playoffs where they just, for whatever reason, don't put forth the effort because they have a lead. Sometimes they do let up.
Yeah.
And so I think that's what happened again tonight in Game 4. And I think they're going to respond in Game 5. But just because you respond, it doesn't mean that you're going to win.
No.
And because Dallas did figure some things out tonight. Luka hasn't had his 50-point dominant
That's what I'm thinking of too,
game.
kid.
So,
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
but Boston also hasn't had their, we shot 48% on,
Right.
40
23 pointers and all that.
Right,
Yeah,
they haven't had that game too.
Yeah.
Boston's going to respond, but are they going to win? Or are we going to be back here next Thursday? I don't know the answer to that, but it did feel like Boston did kind of get ahead of themselves a bit. And it's only human nature, I think.
So what matters most out of the things we saw here tonight? We saw Luka get going. He had his Luka game. We saw Dallas dominate the boards. And we saw pretty much every Dallas role guy get going here. I guess you could group in their efforts on Jalen and Jason into that too.
Definitely.
But on that Dallas side, Luka, the rebounding, the role guys across the board getting going. What should concern the Celtics most?
I mean, to me, I think it's exactly that, Bobby. It's the role guys getting going. Where like even in garbage time, you have Tim Hardaway Jr.
Yo, that's relevant now. I'm telling you, that's you don't think he's gonna hit at least 2 threes in Game 5?
I mean, he's been horrible for months.
But he just made his first 3-pointer since May 19th or whatever the heck it was. Like that's huge,
but like,
man.
The fact even
shooters are gonna shoot.
Even Tim Hardaway, a guy that Mavericks fans should be cut after Game 3. I mean, the fact even he was having a good performance, like it felt like the Mavericks role players, again, just one game. But the fact that they got going, got a little bit more comfortable, they were flying around on defense, lively. Can't underrate that corner 3.
Yeah, man.
Remember many years ago when the Heat against the Celtics put Chris Bosh in the corner and suddenly this combobulated so much of what Boston wanted to do against that Heat defense? And not that like that alone is going to win, 1 3-pointer, that's all he hit. He only took the one.
Right.
But little things like that, it felt like Dallas, the way they crashed the boards, the fact they inserted Exum into the rotation and that energy and flow he provided with his ball handling. Dallas figured some things out, but now it's on Boston to respond. And Mazzulla has improved so much as a coach in a year, and he's made those adjustments over the playoffs and over the season. So I mean, I think this is the moment where like it's better to win at home, it's sweeter to win at home. They should take care of business on Monday at home. But we'll see if the series just shifted or not.
And if you want to be in the building on Monday, check out the Game Time app. Go over there, get $20 off your first ticket purchase. Great deals right up until and even after game time. I don't think there's going to be great deals over there, but if you're going to find one, it's going to be on Game Time. And, of course, they're giving you that $20 off your first ticket purchase over there. Terms apply. And check out Prize Picks. Go to prizepicks.com/CLNS. Use the code CLNS to get a 100% deposit match up to $100. Kristaps Porzingis did not play tonight. He was active. Joe Mazzulla said before the game that they'd use him in special circumstances if needed. It was kind of a weird explanation.
Celebratory.
I love Bontemps following up, like, what do you mean by that? And he just gave the same exact answer. Yeah. I think he meant, like, possibly, like, an ATO at the end of the quarter. That was, like, my first thought. And my second thought is, like, victory cigar.
Right.
Like, last 10 seconds of the fourth quarter, you follow me. He's the guy who throws the ball in the air. That's what I was thinking it was.
It seems like we're not going to see him in any actual capacity the rest of the series if he couldn't go tonight. I don't know. Maybe he does improve as the series goes on, but we know this is an injury that could potentially need surgery. So I'm not counting on it.
What a weird injury. He looked like you watch him pregame warmups. He looks okay moving around, but at the end of game 2, like I don't know. He just like something was definitely off, and then we learned about the injury. I'm not convinced that he's going to be an additive presence if he plays, because you're going to have Dallas go at him possession after possession. But maybe, like, just because you go at a guy doesn't mean that guy gets hurt, and it doesn't mean that the team scores. So, like, if Porzingis can provide, like, let's say he plays Monday, he comes out in the first quarter at the 4-minute mark, and he hits a 3 or 2 threes, and that just the momentum, the way it inspires the crowd, that can have a lingering effect even if he only plays 4 minutes in the game.
Well, yeah,
right?
That's what I had, like, hoping, though, because I just thought the way Joe Mazzulla was so open about this, that probably wasn't going to happen. But if he did play meaningful minutes, some situation like that, something that could tip the scale. But there was no window in this one, right? I mean, it was a double-digit deficit. It just kept piling on. Dallas Mavericks piling up. There was no way you're going to put Kristaps in there and say, oh, he's going to change everything. And in that sense, you might as well just save him up and go into Game 5 hoping that maybe you can put him in some type of scenario like that.
I hope he was available for a situation, like you said, an ATO, or maybe it's like the inbound pass at the end. Even something as small as that. Because if he couldn't play, period, and again, I get that there's no negative to actually making him active. It's not like someone else is in street clothes because of that. I just don't get the celebration thing. Like, I get it, the moment that you want to give to him and the nod to everything he's done this year, but I don't get why we're even having this conversation about, oh, he's improving and he's getting better and he's fighting the play, when if it is just for him to celebrate at the end of the game.
I mean, the whole statement from him was kind of weird. He's like, we have him ready for certain situations, but he's not there yet.
Right. I was going to say,
what
right,
does that mean?
Before you guys go down this road, just know that we've spent about a good 10 minutes on the Celtics postgame show having this conversation, but let's hear your take, because if you guys start going back and forth, this might turn into a 20-minute segment.
I'm going to lay off.
It's going to turn into a 20-minute segment, I'm telling
say.
you.
Yeah.
Without the other guys in the room here, Bobby's going to, it's like you hit the reset button. So, but what's your take on the whole thing? John's here. John's here, which I think is kind of helping the situation, if I'm being honest.
He loved it. Maybe I'm just frustrated the balloons weren't dropping here tonight. There's one more thing I want to get into, because barring a historic collapse here, no one's ever lost up 3-0. The Celtics are going to be champions.
I mean, it's like the Celtics almost came back last year.
Almost? They lost bad in Game 7.
I know, but they got back from down 3-0.
You think that's in the cards here?
I mean, I don't think it's going to happen. I think the Celtics are going to win the series. They have a 3-1 lead. I think they're great enough to close out the series at some point. But Red Sox in 04 did it against the Yankees.
You should be giving the Mavs the speech.
2010, the Bruins blew it against the Flyers.
Oh, yeah, they did.
And then just a year ago, the Celtics almost did it against the Heat in the East Finals. So Boston sports fans have experienced the highs and the lows and the almosts last year. And you can't rule out a guy with a potential all-timer in Luka and one of the better point guards ever, and Kyrie, and a cast of role players that just had 3 bad games, but was really awesome for 2 months. You can't rule out that they win a Game 5, and then you can't rule out if they're back in Dallas that they win a Game 6. You can't discount them, and that's why Boston sports fans know it's not over until it's over. They know 28-3. They know the 3-0 comebacks.
Yeah,
Boston sports
true.
fans have won so much and lost so much. They've experienced everything that you can experience as a fan. You've experienced 18-1. You know that the rug can be pulled out from under you. You know everything can happen. So until it's over, it's not over. And that's why it's just all about one game at a time. Not to sound like Bill Belichick, it's all about just Monday. Yeah. You're not going to lose 3 games on Monday night, but the Dallas also isn't going to win 3 on Monday night. But you can't rule anything out. Is my point.
The panic meter would point in a high
direction. Oh
my
God!
Well, one thing that we don't know for sure with certainty is that we've seen the very best out of Luka. We don't know that. We can't say that because he continues to top himself.
He could reach another level.
And it's not like he went out here and dropped 50. I mean, these guys won. The game was wrapped up before the start of the 4th quarter, and he didn't have to drop 50. You know what I mean? That's how explosive these guys were. And I'll be honest.
Hit a 3 tonight, Josue.
Yeah, that too. On top of that, and we know that he has that in his bag where he can go out in one night and just drop 4 or 5 3-pointers, and all of a sudden you have a bigger problem a problem you've never had this entire series. So yeah, I think that's something that everyone's gonna have their eyes on.
Let's say the Celtics do take care of business. What's been your thought on this team? Are they an all-time team? How do you kind of look back on this season if they are going to go on to win the championship?
I mean, my main thought is 2 thoughts. A, the growth of Tatum and Brown, how those guys have improved every single year of their careers to become Tatum. He enters the league, people talk about him as just a scorer with tunnel vision and all that. Well, no. He's become an awesome defender, an awesome rebounder, a really good passer, where scoring almost is the additive cherry on top on nights where, he's shooting below 40% in the series. He has not been good as a scorer, and yet he's been good overall. And then Jalen.
That's been the story most of the playoffs, but
for
go
sure.
ahead.
And then Jalen, too. Jalen's left-handed. He has 8 turnovers against the Heat in Game 7 last year. He had 5 turnovers in Games 5 and 6 against the Warriors in the finals. And he's just a better decision-maker, plays with better flow, better everything. It's that, and then also it's Brad Stevens. I mean, he inherited, one of the best foundations you can have with what Danny Ainge built, but he made perfect move after perfect move in order to put this team in position to win a championship. And that's hard to do, man. And I think Stevens deserves a hell of a lot of credit. Ainge does too, but also Wick Grossbeck. Because I think Wick, go back 20 years to when Danny Ainge traded Antoine Walker, 10 years when Danny Ainge traded Paul Pierce and Kevin Garnett, a year ago when Brad Stevens traded Marcus Smart. They've never been afraid over the years to trade the fan favorite, to make the tough moves. And you've got to make the tough moves in order to win a championship, and I think the whole organization deserves credit for that.
Well, they got to go out there and do it officially on Monday. Game 5 back in Boston. Celtics will try to put this one away after an uninspiring one here. They flew out of the building, and they're already on the way back to Boston. So a couple days off here.
That was quick. That was the quickest
That was
pressers.
the quickest exit I've seen all season.
A little red eye?
They're ready to go.
Yeah, I mean, they got the big, they lay down seats. They're comfortable.
Yeah, they'll be all right. Yeah. They're not going to lose any
They
sleep.
didn't want to stick around in Dallas. They don't want to come back here either, certainly. So give a shout out. I'm going to give a shout out to our last sponsor here, HelloFresh. Go to HelloFresh.com/gardenapps. Get a free appetizer in every box. Love HelloFresh. I'm going to go home and actually get a box to load me up for cook all week long. Prepackaged ingredients, laid out instructions. specific dietary needs or even your preferences, you can customize it all over there. You get a free appetizer in every box. Just go to HelloFresh.com/gardenapps. He is Kevin O'Connor. And if you got a cram for draft coverage, he's your guy. Because I'll tell you, Celtics fans watching, 30th pick, no one is paying
could get a good player
in Boston.
Could get a good player at number 30.
They could use one. Second apron,
it's a good role player draft. It's a good role. So check out the Ringers NBA draft guide for a bunch of scouting reports. Once the finals are over, you can wait till then.
Thanks to the second apron, we're going to be hearing that every year. Hey,
Oh,
there's some good role players and good crop of these second rounders. You know, early,
they're
early
important,
second
man.
rounder, late first. Yeah.
Undrafted guys, Sam Hauser, Peyton
Luke
Pritchard.
Cornett.
You know, those guys are important. They are.
All right, Josue Pavone as well here, CLNS Media. I'm Bobby Manning. Celtics lose Game 4, but glad we were able to talk to Kevin O'Connor here, a former Garden Report panelist and
Yes, sir.
Celtics
OG.
blogger. We'll talk to you back in Boston.